Hi there, I'm Janet Haines. At the recent RPS AGM, we had a lot of information which was under the title The Photographer's Journey. This was aimed at all members in trying to help you to improve our own photography. I know, like me, a lot of people join the RPS in the hopes of improving their own work. So the whole ethos here was to help you do that. So I want to take you through my session, which was the last session of the day, which unfortunately had to be axed because we were overrunning, and show you a little of what the RPS has to offer. All the volunteer groups, whether they are special interest groups, regions or chapters, all have very, very good programs that support the members, perhaps a little less formally than the OCA, OU things which you heard about earlier in the day, and perhaps not quite so daunting in many ways as doing our distinctions. But there's an awful lot that we can learn out there. When you join the RPS, you get assigned to a region or maybe a chapter, and you see this little tiny part of the RPS. And it's interesting, you know, the regions do some good stuff. We meet some new people, we learn some new skills. But if you join the special interest groups, one or more, then you see a little bit more of what the RPS has to offer you. And you start to meet different people, maybe some people in the genre that you're particularly interested in. But the reality is that is the panorama of what's available to you from the RPS. It really is quite mind-blowing what's available and what's out there. So as I was trying to put this presentation together, I asked various groups, regions and chapters to send me some information about what they do. But there was so much and from so many of them that, in all honesty, I was inundated with information. And my challenge was to try and work out how to help you through this talk understand what's out there. So with a little bit of help from others, I came to the conclusion that when we're trying to improve our work, these are the sort of headings that we would probably go through. We might not think of it as structured as this or as formal as this, but nevertheless, these are the various things that we will do for ourselves to help ourselves along our journey. So what I'm going to do is go through the talk, showing you and talking to you about each of these headings and what's available beneath them, i.e. hiding within the groups and regions. So awareness and inspiration. It's something that we all enjoy. We love seeing work from other people and talks from other people that inspire us and make us get out of our chairs, pick up our cameras and get out there and doing things. And it doesn't matter whether we're listening to perhaps an annual lecture or we're looking at past events and reviewing what's available online, because there's, as I say, an awful lot out here. Whether we're watching championships or competitions, we can learn and be inspired by all these various things. Talks, specialist talks, travel talks, esoteric things about how to make wonderful imaginary images that you see probably in some of the special interest groups, or maybe you go on to the YouTubes, because although the RPS has a YouTube, so do many of the groups and special interest groups themselves. So there's so much out there. Obviously, we can't have a genre for every different type, a little bit of every niche of photography that's available, but a lot of the groups will work outside a remit of their whatever they do. So for example, you could do garden photography with the digital imaging group. The other thing that the various groups produce are magazines and catalogues and exhibitions, and all those are really good places to go to get your inspiration from. So the publications are quite often printed magazines which the members get on when they come out once a quarter or however that frequently they come. But equally, most of the groups put them online for other people to have a look at as well. So you can see the PDF versions of them, if you like. And all these magazines are really valuable and really great to have a look at, particularly, for example, if you're interested in nature, you might go on the nature one and watch their exhibition or see the photographs that are produced after their exhibition. Even if you can't get along, as I say, the majority of them will put things up online. Competitions, don't be afraid to enter competitions. We'll come back to that one later. Looking at the galleries of all the winning images can always add value to your learning and to your inspiration. And of course, books, they're always another really good resource. So having been inspired about, oh, you know, you'd like to go off and do X or Y, how do you find the sources and the resources that are available to you? And as I say, one of the things is that there's a lot in the RPS. So for example, all the back copies of the journal are available in the resource room in RPS House. And that is an amazing resource that we've got there, which I'll come back to a little later on in the talk. So how to do AVs, how to learn to do AVs. Documentary, have photo books and projects that you can look into. Observing, either online or in-house, a distinctions assessment is really valuable, because here other people are putting up bodies of work which you can see, and then you can hear the assessors giving their feedback, giving their commentary to what they're seeing. And we learn from that. We look at the image and maybe we see a beautiful image and we don't necessarily look at the finer details, which the assessors will pick out for us and explain why this or that is maybe a slight issue, or even to be exclaiming beautifully about how wonderful the thing is. So a lot to learn from observing and going to assessments. If you want to do more research into the historical things, the historical group have got so much information too. So all these things are available to us. So returning to the resources that are available at RPS House, the resource room is there, but you do have to apply by appointment to be there. Now, what I would suggest you do, just think about this, treat yourself to a couple of days in Bristol. And it's a nice city, go and enjoy it. And then if you plan your day appropriately, you could be there when there are assessments going on. So you could sit in the audience in the theatre and watch how the assessments are run and hear what they've got to say. You can do it online as well, but it's even better to be in RPS House. Then in a little bit later on, you breeze out of there and you go up to the gallery and you can see the exhibition that's on at the time. And then if you've booked yourself a place in the resource room, you can be let in there, and it's like a little Aladdin's cave of information. You could spend days in there, quite honestly, but you know, it's there for the use of the members. Make use of it. And in your time in Bristol, you could even go to the Martin Parr Foundation, which is literally right next door to the RPS, and you can indulge in a different way. So there's so much to do. 2 days in Bristol would be well worth your time, and I bet you'd come away really inspired. So as you're researching for things in the library, we're returning back to the resource that we've got there, there's lots and lots of books and photography information that's in that library, over and above that which is in the archives of the journal. All the later RPS publications are in there, and there's so much valuable stuff, just from absolutely ordinary photographers to the most brilliant photographers. So it's not exclusive, it's not elite, it's very much hands-on for us at whatever level we want to take it and receive it in. Also, the membership records are available to us. Now, for that, you do have to have special permission to look at that for all the obvious reasons. But let's suppose you're doing research on a particular fellow from the 1950s or something, and you want to know a little bit more about them, well, the records are there. So it's all there and it's all available to you. It's stunning. I'm surprised that more students don't use it, but hey, it's there and it's for us. Lots of archival material as well. So, for example, the colour group no longer exists, but there's still information about them. And the imaging science group to have proper research papers, which, you know, are a creditable source of information. And that's in there as well. So, as I say, really first class, top line information is in our own resource room. There's a small collection of historic photography, and these days there's also a display of cameras in the reception area, and that's really very impressive too. So it's all there for us to see. You know, here it is. This is what's available to you. All you've got to do is just organise yourself, get yourself to Bristol, and make use of it. So let's look at the category of developing and honing skills. So bearing in mind, I've asked the various groups for information, and what's come back has just engulfed me. So I'm trying now to look at honing it down and condensing it. This isn't a total view of what's available. This is an overview of what's available. So don't take the fact that your region or your group is not mentioned there, because I just had to pick some examples. But it's all there. So all these various volunteer groups, don't forget, are putting on this panoply of things for you to do, events, workshops, etc., to help you to hone your own skills. So there's how-to sessions, there's technical support, you know, all of it is out there. How to use a darkroom, you know, loads of us would love to have a little go in a darkroom to know if that's possible. The analog group offer it. Did we know that? I didn't until I started doing this research. And I would have thought, I probably know a lot more about the RPS than a lot of people. I've been around quite a long time and I've done a lot of volunteer work. So, you know, I was surprised what's there. I didn't know they had a darkroom and that we could all go and with one of them helping us learn how to do darkroom skills. So here's a few more examples of the sort of things that you can pick up. And as I say, they are only examples of the things that we can do. Doesn't matter whether you're looking for technical skills, software technical skills, or whether you're looking to how to use your mobile phone. Some of these things are covered by the RPS workshops. So the mobile phone thing, for example, is definitely covered in one of the workshops that Liz was talking about earlier in her topic of education. But equally, you will find it within the special interest groups or the regions as well. So quite often this will be a fellow member who's got that skill, who's happy to put on a workshop for the benefit of others. So go on walks and talks with the great and the good and learn out how to do landscape work. Go to symposiums, go along and do other interesting workshops or events with your colleagues, your member colleagues. Street photography. Hey, you know, this is quite up and coming, isn't it? Well, not up and coming, it's there already, but a lot of us feel a little bit of fear about doing street photography. And if we go along to one of these online talks, we start to get outside our comfort zone, and that's good for us because getting outside our comfort zone means that we're learning. So all these things are available within the RPS. If you want to go the the photo book route, then the East Midlands workshop. East Midlands do a lot about photo books. So, you know, that's the route to take if you want to have a look at that particular way of showing your work. So brilliant, absolutely brilliant talks are going on throughout the RPS. And as members and non-members, a lot of this is available to you. And a lot of them, as you can see there, the drones one, are quite esoteric. But nevertheless, if we go along and listen to them, it can excite us. And even if we don't want to buy a drone and do drone photography for ourselves, we will still learn things. We will learn about the light and the shadow, or whatever it is that you're going to pick up from that particular talk. Another thing that the RPS is very good at are these bursaries. Now, these are what I call the official bursaries, because they are judged and adjudicated by the great and the good and awarded annually. And they are really worthwhile bursaries. They're financially quite good for the photographer that gets the award. And then following year, they have to feed back to the RPS their learning that they gained through doing that bursary. But these days, there's also some bursaries that are available from some of the groups. So I'm highlighting here the one from the analog group, but I also know that Women in Photography are offering a bursary as well. The analog group one particularly appealed to me because maybe you've got a student or a young family friend that you know of who's really keen on their photography and wants to get into darkroom. Youngsters seem to really like the darkroom. So here is an opportunity that the analog group are putting on for the youngster, for a young person, to encourage them to get into analog photography. So all these good things are happening. We just need to know how to find them. So this particular learning from feedback and criticism, or not criticism, I shouldn't say, critique is the right way of putting it. Many of the groups offer this. Now, down the right-hand side is an example of few of them, but more do it than is listed there. And the things that they offer is really, this is much more about a member helping another member. And one of the things that I know from the RPS and from photography in general is the vast majority of photographers are always willing to share their knowledge with others. It's the generosity of the members in helping one another. So e-circles, peer-to-peer, whatever we want to talk about, print circles. This is a group of members, usually, non-members on occasions as well, who will say, let's all get together, show each other images and talk about what we're producing and give some feedback. And there's two values in that type of group. It's receiving the feedback and also giving feedback, because to give feedback, you need to understand an image and how to read it. And you need to get beyond the, it's nice, it's lovely, I like this picture, to giving constructive feedback. And having to think about an image to give constructive feedback not only helps the person whose work it is, but it actually helps you to think deeply about your photography rather than looking at it as a very quick flash, the sort of thing that you get your holiday snaps back and you go, oh, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice, or you used to. Oh, God, I made a mess of that one, chuck that one in the bin. It's more than that. It's really looking at the images and analysing them and giving that positive, supportive feedback. So lots of groups there. There's Facebook groups that do it. There's mentor feedback. So you may find yourself a mentor and get feedback. The most formal, perhaps, of the ones down that left-hand side is the distinctions one-to-ones, which you will have heard about from Andy Golding's talk about the distinctions. And Andy Moore and his distinctions team operate those. They're really valuable if you're about to do your distinctions. But a lot of the others are much less formal and at all levels and all degrees of our learning. And you just need to find the right group and the right selection of people that makes you feel comfortable to show your work and to give and receive feedback. So viewing and listening to others' photographers is always enjoyable and we always learn. So it doesn't matter whether it's a topic that you think is something you're interested in or not. I bet you if you go and listen to these people, you'll learn something. So, for example, I'm not into analog photography. I'm a digital worker. But if I go and listen to the analog group's exhibition or a talk from them, I will still learn. I will learn something that I can take over to my digital photography and benefit from. So don't sort of be blinkered. Don't just think I only want to learn about landscape, or I only want to learn about nature. Look wider, look broader, and take inspiration from others. And you'll never know what might come out of it. The other way to view and listen is obviously through seeing and going to exhibitions, etc., or a magazine. I mean, the magazines that are about the distinctions are very valuable, because you see and read a lot about how people prepared for their distinctions and the successes that they've had. Or maybe you're particularly interested in plants and trees and things, so you go along to that particular online talk. There are so many, and a lot of them are recorded, and very many of them are still on the websites and still accessible, even if you miss the actual talk on the day. So when you're trying to think about the inspiration that you need to get, and you're looking and wanting to view other people's works, go to exhibitions, both RPS ones and any exhibition that you see. Salons, international salons, are very valuable. I started off competing in them because it gave me an opportunity to put my work out there and to get the assessment of international selectors for the salons. And at the end of it, you get catalogues back. So whether you get a printed catalogue or whether it's online or a CD, you see the work of everybody that's entered. The advantage of international salons is that you see work from around the world, because in the main, we see what's in our camera club, or we might see what's in the UK, but we don't look and see what's around the entire world. And believe me, it varies. It varies very significantly with the culture of those countries. So take, for example, India. We see pictures in the UK from India and we think they're oversaturated, maybe HDR. And we can be a little bit critical of that. But the reality is, their country, their world is really, really colourful. And therefore, they are only representing in their work what their country and their culture, how they live and what they see every day. And it makes us think, hey, you know, why shouldn't we make our images bright and beautiful as well? We don't have to live with the greys and the mutes and the misty looks that we tend to have a lot of in our own work. It's exciting, it's vibrant. And as I say, you can move off into a different culture again, and you will see something different. And that helps us to broaden our views and to actually think a little bit further than that which we see on a day-by-day basis. Don't limit yourself to photography. Go to art galleries, museums, and look at sculptures, because all these things are inspirational. And in viewing them, you'll find that it will make you feel more immersed in art. And then you can translate that arty feeling, that creativity, into your own photography. So how, once you've got some work that you feel a little bit proud of, can you find an outlet for that work? And the thing I would say is, don't be shy. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Get it out there and get it seen by others. It boosts your own confidence if you get published, for example. And not only that, you'll find you get feedback from these sources, and that's invaluable. So the ones that are white on this particular slide are where you can do this within the RPS. And the ones that are in blue, maybe you've got to go outside the RPS and think a little bit more broadly to produce your own website, for example, or put your work, hang your work in the local arts week. So there's always opportunities for displaying your work. Maybe make some cards and see if a local little shop, particularly the sort of gifty shop type places, will accept your range of cards in there, and see how they go. It tests out your work and it gives you a great feeling, even to sell a card. So think outside the box, find those outlets that work for you. Building support is really important. If you can find yourself a mentor or mentors, and working in collectives is very, very supportive. And the various groups, regions and chapters will offer the opportunity for this. It's starting to build networks. So go along to meetings or go online to meetings. People say, oh, online is not very personal. It doesn't have that chattery sort of nature that you can get in face-to-face, but nevertheless, you can still find an awful lot of information from them. And if there's somebody that's there and part of the audience that you think, oh, I'd like to get to know that person better, contact them. The chat's down the side of the Zoom or the Teams meeting. Contact them and say, here's my email address, or this is me, phone me. I'd really like to talk to you further. Don't be shy, put yourself out there and make it work. So the various, the various groups offer an awful lot of the opportunity to meet other people. Go on the photo walks and don't be worried if you're only using your mobile phone and somebody else is there with a Hasselblad. It doesn't matter. It's the photograph at the end of the day that matters. And the fact that you're out there mixing with others, learning from others and extending your network. I really do think that networks are vital if we're going to help ourselves to improve. We have to be self-motivated, and the shy amongst us find it difficult. I do appreciate that. But if you go along to these meetings, you'll quite quickly find some like-minded people that you feel comfortable with, and you can start to expand your network. And you can start to make new friends outside your immediate circle. And the bigger and the wider your network, the easier you will find it is to find things that you need. So let's say I want to learn drones. Let's go back to drones. I'd like to get into drone photography. I bet you if you've got a broad enough network, you can start saying to your friends, I want to do drones. And they'll say, I know somebody who's really, really good at drones. He'll take you out and he'll help you. And it leads to the next network. And you build that network permanently. And as it gets larger, your opportunity to find the things and the people that are going to help you on your journey gets bigger too. So I know networks is a name that some people seem to find uncomfortable. But it's only a group of friends. And friends, strangers are only friends you have yet to meet. So really think of them as friends and absolutely enjoy their company. So one of the ways that I would suggest to you to develop your network is to get involved with the special interest groups, the regions and the chapters, and really start to integrate yourself into them, even volunteer, because then you get to widen your network enormously if you volunteer. But even if you're not up for volunteering, just getting into the group, seeing what they do, joining their meetings, engaging with them, participating with them, and most of all, enjoying your photography, you will find your world will expand, and you will be, you'll have all that feeling of being wrapped around by friends and knowledgeable people that's going to help you on your journey. So wherever you are in your journey, and whether you've gone through this formally or informally, one of the things that will happen is you will plateau every so often. And so you've made some progress, maybe you've got your LRPS, your licentiateship, and then you plateau, or you lose your mojo, as we say. And so come back and think about, what are these things that I need to plug into to get me going again, to get me moving on the next stage of my journey, and go round the circle again and think about, how can I make that improvement? How can I get outside my comfort zone? What can I do to learn some new skills? It's all there. And one of the things that people find a little bit difficult is finding where there is. So go on to the front page of the RPS homepage, and up the top you'll see about. I put a red ring around it here so you can see where it is on the website. And if you click on that, it takes you to a page, and there's lots and lots of these blocks with lots of information. And if you pick up this line where it's groups, regional hubs, and international, below that are hiding exactly what it says: the regional groups, the special interest groups, and the chapters. So click on those and it takes you through to their websites, and then you can find all this information that I've alluded to in the talk today. So in summary, whatever you want is there. It's out there somewhere. A little bit of searching or a little bit of talking to others to find out where to find the information, and you can access it for yourself. The volunteer groups tend to run, they're very inexpensive, by the way. You don't have to pay to join a region. You have to pay a nominal fee to join a special interest group. But, you know, £20 a year at most to join a special interest group, and it opens up a whole more Pandora's box of delights that you can engage with. And it is there. That's what I'm saying to you. You've just got to have a little bit of a look around the website to find it. So whatever you want, have a look at the whole panorama of what's on sale, not on sale, what's on offer from the RPS, because if it isn't, you can make it happen. And people find that one quite daunting. But let's suppose for a minute you want to learn about astrophotography and you can't find anything on any of these websites about astrophotography. Go along to one of the regions or one of the groups and talk to the volunteers and say to them, I'd really like to learn about astrophotography. And I know that there's a couple of specialists that do it in your group or even outside the RPS. Would you be prepared to put on an event for astrophotography? One thing I've learned in life is if you ask a question, there will be probably another 50 people behind you that would like to ask that question, but often haven't got the courage to do so. And so let's say you go along and you say to one of the groups, would you put on an astrophotography talk? I'll help you put it on. I'll help organise it with you because there's something in it for me. And then invariably they will help you and they will put on that event, and not only you gain from it, but probably the 50 people that were behind you that didn't have the courage to ask. So make it happen is what I'm saying to you. So had this been a live meeting, I now would have said to you, any questions? But quite obviously, because you're having to watch this on YouTube, that's a little bit more difficult. So what I'm going to say to you here is, if it's a question that needs to be directed to one of the groups or regions or chapters, go direct to them and ask it of them yourselves. But if you get stuck and you can't find your way through the marasma of things that are on offer from the RPS, then by all means email me and I'll see if I can help you or make a suggestion. So thank you very much for listening to this presentation. I'm sorry that it wasn't live as we had hoped, but I'm hoping that you can pick up information that will help you and help you on your own photographic journey. So thank you very much indeed for now, and I hope to see you out there with your camera sometime. Bye now.